Hey guys, it's Dom. We're going to be watching the last match of round 2 of the Mirrodin Scars of Mirrodin Roto redraft. This is between two 1-0 players. Scott is playing a blue-black Artifacts Matter sort of deck. I called it Affinity. It's not like playing Arcbound Ravager and stuff, but it's fast mana and cards with Affinity, and Metalcraft. Hunter is playing a more grindy sort of black-green mid-range deck featuring Birthing Pod. This deck seems very good if Birthing Pod hits the field, especially. With a lot of comes into play and sacrifice sort of effects. It's featuring a lot of creatures, obviously Birthing Pod, and Grafted Wargear did quite a bit of work in his first match, where he was able to use it for the free +3/+2, and then to sacrifice things like Perilous Mirror at will to get extra value. Mirrodin Emissary, SoM Simulacrum, stuff like that. And it looks like the game is underway. And it looks like Scott won the die roll and has taken a mulligan. He does have... this hand's not great, actually. So imprint does not work with artifacts. Colorless is not a color, so he cannot use this Chrome Mox for anything. Hunter has some early plays. Doesn't have any black mana, but he does have a Mirrodin Emissary, which will get him to Glissa. He's pretty far from casting Geth's Verdict. Thoughtcast is an interesting draw, so I'm sure Scott will cast the Ichor Mirror right now. Next turn, if he wants to, he can cast the Chrome Mox just as a 0-mana artifact that doesn't do anything. That'll get him to enough affinity to Thoughtcast. Hunter draws his 5th Forest. Hunter may be quite happy to block Ichor Mirror. And get his Swamp to cast Glissa the Traitor. First strike Death Touch, pretty powerful against the ground attack. Scott could also imprint Chrome Mox with Thoughtcast and cast Darksteel Juggernaut, but that's just a 3/3. And then he will have used his entire hand, so I don't think that's a real option here. Alright, attack with Ichor Mirror. I expect a block. The Ichor Mirror gets +2/+2 when it becomes blocked. So it makes it a 3/3 to take down the Emissary, which becomes a Swamp. And now we're probably going to see Glissa. If Hunter draws a Swamp, he could consider casting Perilous Mirror and leaving out Geth's Verdict. So Scott's in his main phase 2. I think he's debating whether or not to Thoughtcast. Oh wow, he's actually, nope, he's Chrome Mox, imprint, Thoughtcast, do nothing. That is not the line of play I expected. I'm not sure why you would imprint this if you're not going to use the mana immediately. I'm going to try something new and actually write my questions down. Hunter with the worst possible draw in his deck, I would imagine. So he is going to cast Glissa the Traitor. Oh, Darksteel Juggernaut costs 5. That is that is relevant. Regular Juggernaut costs 4. He's going to cast it now. Naturally drew Darks to Citadel. Yeah, it seems like he could have just waited till this turn if he was going to imprint, like, but it is what it is. Darksteel Juggernaut is big enough to deal with Glissa at the moment. Another forest. Yikes. This draw pretty terrible. Now 7 forests. I guess. Excuse me. Hunter is going to cast a Perilous Mirror. I just realized that my webcam is off. I apologize. Now you can see my smiling face as I announce. Scott draws Darkswing Shores. This is a pretty terrible game here, I would say. Like, neither player executing his game plan to really any degree. I think we may see Hunter block with Perilous Mirror and then shoot the Ichor Claw Mirror, which would trigger Glissa and bring back the Perilous Mirror, I believe. It seems pretty good. And also enable Geth's Verdict if he gets another swamp. 3 Glissa. Every creature an opponent controls but in your graveyard, you may return target artifact from your graveyard to your hand. Yeah. So Glissa will trigger when the Perilous Mirror will die first. It'll be in the graveyard. It'll kill the Ichor Claw, then Glissa will trigger, then he'll get the Perilous Mirror back. And he can just cast it again. Obviously, Darksteel Juggernaut had to attack, so it wasn't much Scott could have done there. Under just anything. Everything pod, okay. I have to imagine that's good news. Glissa also could just block the 3/3 Juggernaut with impunity at this point. I was just going to attack. It's probably a fine play. Since if Scott were... sorry, guys. I'm just really tired today. If Scott were to pick up an or draw an artifact for the turn and cast it, Darksteel Juggernaut would be a 4/4 that Glissa couldn't block anymore. So this line seems safer. Hunter could also pay 4 life to Birthing Pod immediately. So you could pay 3 or 2 and a 3 plus 2 life, and then 1 plus 2 life to activate. So he does have that. If we look at Hunter's deck, we see at 4 he has a Solemn and a Skin Render and a Thread. At 3 he's still got the Meridian Shaman. Doesn't do anything here. Chthonian. Moriok Replica can draw 2 cards. Nothing too great. But, alright, so he has cast a Birthing Pod, sack the Perilous Mirror, dealt 2 damage to Scott. Now he is getting such. Oh, Phyrexian Ranger. And he finds another double block spell. Bleak Coven Vampires. Scott needs some gas. March of the Machines. That is pretty bad. So that would turn Darksteel Citadel and Chromox into 0/0s. They would die. And Darksteel Juggernaut would become a 5/5. But that's probably not worth it. We call that a non-bow in the Magic business. In March of the Machines, kind of a double-edged sword in Scott's deck. It definitely does some good things for him when his draw is a bit better. There's the swamp. Guess Verdict is online. Here's an attack for 5. Hunter can pod the Phyrexian Rager. He'll probably get a SoM. Oh, no, he's just going to get a Skin Render. Yeah, to kill the Juggernaut. I think this game is pretty close to over. And he has Guess Verdict at the ready, and Scott is drawing lands. The only spell he can cast will double Stone Rain himself. So yeah, this not looking promising for Scott. Apparently, I've had the deck list up the last like 5 minutes, so sorry about that. Did not get enough sleep. Here's an attack for 6. He's gonna pod Skin Render for maybe Precursor Golem. And now there's going to be a lot of 3/3s in play. I guess Scott has to draw a removal spell to kill a Precursor Golem, and then go to 1. And now he's just indicted Guess Verdict. Yeah, I think this game's over. Swamp. Some unexciting draw steps there. Scott basically drew land the entire game. So, yep. I guess you had enough time to look at Hunter's list, so we'll look at this Scott's list. Let's have some pretty big gas high end. He's got Mirror Forcer, Chrome Scale Drake, Broodstar, both Zenith. Black Sun Zenith might have gotten him out of the last game. I forgot that was there. Tezzeret. Yeah, let's see. So in the sideboard, not a ton really. Terror not great against black and artifact creatures. I actually don't see a ton of options for Scott in this particular matchup. He can like board in Trinket Mage that fetches Memnite or Mox. Yeah, it's not great. Chromatic Sphere, Conjurer's Bauble. Because you bring those cards in if you just have like bad cards in your deck, things you don't want. That's certainly not. I would not describe it as exciting. Keep misclicking. It's like a webcam struggling. There we go. Alright, the players are still sideboarding. Hunter has Emissary of Despair, probably good. Maybe Glissa Scorn, he's probably going to bring in for sure. Rebuking Ceremony could be good. Scott has a lot of artifacts, like putting 2 Moxes on top or something like that. Late in the game when he wants to top deck gas, that seems pretty strong. So yeah, I guess I have to say I like Hunter's position. He, although it was hard to tell from not a ton of Magic was played in the first game. The winner of this game will join me at 2-0. 2-0, a good place to be. I've not been there, but I'm enjoying it. After this round, we can change our deck lists, so that is relevant. If anybody wants to make some changes. Especially if you're playing a more complex deck. It can be hard to figure out exactly how to build it first, so it's a good opportunity for that. In these players, we've got Jonah, Michael, and Chris all at 1-1, and Luke and Yuki are 0-2. So still early. I started 0-2 last season and made the playoffs, so certainly nobody out of it yet. And we're ready for game 2. It's got mulligans. He's got a Mox Opal and a Memnite. No third artifact. Hunter had a mulligan also. These hands are not great. Neither player I would describe it as doing it thus far in this match. They're both going to keep. Hunter's okay if he finds like a green. He casts Birthing Pod, and then he's pretty close, or any creature starts a chain. So, Scott, if he could get some Metalcraft, I guess he get this Cryptoplasm down. Possibly. Alright, so Scott's going to go Memnite, Mox Opal, Island. Hunter's going to draw 2 cards, because that seems fair, obviously. He draws a SoM. Tezzeret's a good draw. If it doesn't have black mana. We're getting close. Swamp would unlock Vault of Whispers is the card Scott wants to draw. That would unlock Mox Opal and let him cast Tezzeret. And count double towards Broodstars. Here comes a Memnite. Glissa the Traitor. Yeah, this is about to get ugly. Neither player has any mana, any more lands. Oh, there's a Swamp. So this lets Cryptoplasm happen. It's better than nothing. He could have Cryptoplasm copy Memnite next turn just to give himself Metalcraft and cast the Tezzeret. That's kind of great. Hunter draws a Swamp as well. I think he should get Birthing Pod down. And he does. He's going to pay 2 life. Because he's got lots of good things to cast here. Alright, so I think Cryptoplasm is going to become a Memnite. Or he's just going to top deck a land. That works too. Looks like Cryptoplasm did not become a Memnite. Here is an attack for 3. Okay, so I guess he's not going to Tezzeret a Mox Opal this turn. So I thought is a thing that could have happened. Alright, so he is going to +1. Could be playing around artifact removal though, because like that gets in 5 damage, but doesn't do a lot else. So Scott is 4 cards behind right now. And we don't know what he's looking at. I'd certainly like to hit an artifact both for Broodstar and for Mox Opal and get him to Metalcraft. So Broodstar costs 10. It has affinity for artifacts. You got 1, 2, 3, 4. Mox Opal's 5. Memnite is 6. So we're pretty far behind, but Mox Opal being able to tap for mana is also worth a mana, essentially. So he's not too far off, but still has some work to do. He's going to take a couple of turns of Tezzeret action, probably. Scott is in the tank here, so he probably has multiple good options. And he's going with Phyrexian Metamorph. A pretty interesting choice. It looks like his other option was Ratchet Bomb or Seat of the Synod, and then he also had a Chrome Scale Drake and a Black Sun Zenith he could not choose. Alright, so pretty big draw. Hunter does get the Forest. So he can Viridian Shaman. No, he can't Viridian Shaman. Oh no, it costs single green. Okay, Viridian Corruptor costs double green. So you get Viridian Shaman, kill something, and then Pod. He already has 2 of his only 4-drop left in the deck is Thrun, so I don't think Thrun is really meant for this matchup. He could Glissa and do the same thing, but that seems strictly worse. So he's going to Solemn and get another land. I think that's a very reasonable play. Also, he knows that Scott has Metamorph, so if he plays like Skinrender, for example, and then goes after the Cryptoplasm, Scott can just Metamorph the Skinrender and kill it. So this way, I think Hunter is quite a bit safer. So Cryptoplasm, I think, is going to copy Solemn. Seems like there's really no downside to doing that. No, that would turn on the Mox Opal and let him draw a card when the Cryptoplasm dies. This gets him 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So pretty close to Broodstar. Yep. Island is the draw. I think I like making Memnite a 5/5 and just getting in. Well, no, maybe not, because he's just gonna chump block and draw a card. Yeah, this is probably better actually. Scott looking at the top 5 now. Tezzeret's -4 also coming into play possibly. He's got 3 artifacts now. At least gonna get 1 more. Looks like he found Darksteel Juggernaut. And he's gonna cast it. Not sure if cards got put on the bottom. Hopefully we can sort that out. Okay, yeah, he's sorting the top. Get rid of the top 4 cards now. So this gives him 4 artifacts. Metamorph is a 5th. Yeah, if Hunter can't gain some life or kill some artifacts or something, which it looks like he can, though he has some removal, that Tezzeret Ultimate is looming. So he's going to go no attacks here. The cards I went to the bottom are Whisper Silk Cloak, Thoughtcast, Swamp, Beacon of Unrest. Hunter draws Cathodian. Actually seems pretty good here. Sort of like a free thing to feed to the Birthing Pod. So he's going to get his mana right back. So he could go Cathodian, pay 1, sacrifice it. Still have 4 mana. He can get Thrun and cast the Skin Render. That's probably not really necessary, though. He could just sack the SoM and go get something. I'm going to pull up his deck list again and try to not actually leave it up forever. Yeah, not much. Precursor Golem, Bleak Coven Vampires. No 5-drops in the sideboard. So yeah, he's just going to cast the Golem, it looks like. Golem, Golem, Golem. Alright, so Cryptoplasm copies Darksteel Juggernaut. Scott draws Darkslick Short is pretty terrible right now. It does give him double. Oh, he already had double black as the opal. I think I like metamorphing the Precursor Golem here. Because that. Is that just game? I think if he just metamorphs the Precursor Golem, he wins. Because he's got 1, 2, 3, 4 artifacts. Precursor Golem is 5, 6, 7. Tezzeret -4 for 14 damage. Yeah, so Scott should have the win on board here. We'll see if he finds the line. Also, Hunter knew about the Metamorph. Well, Scott missed this play anyway, so I guess it doesn't matter. So I think Hunter probably made a misplay by casting the Golem. Scott can cast Broodstar now. It costs all of his mana. He would get a... That was a Darksteel Citadel. That is... I heard that's good with Tezzeret. At least Wisely did not play the Darkslick Shores. Now this Broodstar is even easier to cast. It's going to be a 5/5, 6, 5/5, yeah. So that's pretty good. Darksteel, the Darksteels are both 5/5s. Well, they're going to both have to attack. Alright, so he's going to cast Broodstar for 5 mana. Make it 5/5. Also noteworthy, Mirrodin Shaman doesn't do much, whereas before it seemed like it potentially was quite good. Now it can kill a Memnite or a Moxo. Alright, so here come 2 5/5s. I suspect one is going to get chumped by a SoM. Hunter may have the opportunity to go for Carnifex Demon here, which seems potentially quite good. So you could pot to do it with the Golem. And then It's got 2 -2 or it's almost -3 because it shrinks the Juggernaut so the Mem Knight dies. And the Broodstar, yeah. The biggest reason to pod the Precursor Golem is so that the Metamorph can't copy it. Okay, Hunter's going to take 5 and chump once. He draws Grafted War Gear. I think that's really what he needs right now. Guess Verdict not going to do a lot in this situation. Paying 2 mana to kill a Mem Knight doesn't seem like a great deal. No, there's really no War Gear shenanigans available right now either. He could Glissa back the SoM if he chooses to go that route, but it doesn't really seem worth it. So he's going to cast Skin Render. -3/-3, the Broodstar. Oh, and then he's going to pod Skin Render and get Massacre Worm to finish it. That did deal 3 damage to, or that this play does put Hunter down to 6. Now he's just super dead to Tezzeret. Maybe he's hoping Scott won't see it. Scott is going to lose the Broodstar and the Mem Knight, so it's going to deal him 4 damage. These Juggernauts are going to be 3/3s with -2/-2, so yeah, they're going to live. Hunter can attack for 6 with Golems. Scott still has the kill on board as far as I could tell. Sorry for all the sniffles we've got. Oh, that makes a lot more sense. You can kill Tezzeret. How about that? We've pretty savagely attacked by Pollen in South Carolina this week. Scott could Cryptoplasm something. Maybe he's going to copy Massacre Worm. Oh. But he drew Swamp. I think his only hope now is to like use his Massacre Worm. Or to get like 3 Massacre Worm triggers. I think he has to attack with this 3/3 Juggernaut. He can Metamorph something. Does he Metamorph the Massacre Worm? This is an artifact, so Darkseal's a 4/4. So this is gonna get across for 4 damage. There's so many Massacre Worms. So either this is gonna hit for 4 or it's gonna get chumped and there's gonna be 2 Massacre Worm triggers. So Hunter is gonna drop the 2 here. Oh, and he attacks with the 6/5. Yeah, this actually may do it. Yeah, well, Scott should have won that game sooner, but he ended up pulling it out with. I kept thinking the crypto thing was a 2/2. I was like, no, that's also a 6/5. So we are going to game 3. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say other than I'm definitely off today, and I apologize. I said I didn't get enough sleep. I missed that the golems could just attack Tezzeret. I missed that that last turn was lethal. But yeah, so Scott should have won that match, and he did, although he certainly, it was a more roundabout way of doing it. But it is important in Magic to, if you miss a line, to still find it later, or to keep trying, and do your best to move past it, and it worked out. Looks like Scott's still sideboarding. They said I had a hard time figuring out exactly what he should sideboard. I don't think we saw any sideboard cards from either player in that game, which does not mean that they didn't sideboard, obviously. They just not drawn the sideboard card. So, yep, we are tied 1-1. And it's a pretty big game, I would say. The 2-0 start, it's tough to miss the playoffs from 2-0. Like, a lot of times 4-3 makes the playoffs. You really have to crash and burn. Whereas, 1-1 still going to be middle of the pack. Hunter's going to be on the play for game 3. And here we go. We got opening hands. I think Hunter's hand is fine. Scott's hand is fine too. All right, we can both keep, and this should be a good game. Go for the Throat, an interesting card to keep in the deck. It seems like something that maybe could get sideboarded out. There's not a ton of targets. Scott mostly playing artifacts, of course. Here is the sideboarded Conjurer's Bauble. And Hunter, we'll see. He could end up just playing Mirrodin Shaman and smashing the Bauble if Scott has no cards in his graveyard. But he may want to save it for a better target. Could also see the possibility of Conjurer's Bauble becoming a 5/5 is kind of exciting. And we haven't seen Tezzeret do anything other than +1 so far. This does need a target. If you have no cards in your graveyard, you can't just crack the bauble for nothing. You have to be able to target a card in your graveyard. It's like Leyline of the Void turns off Conjurer's Bauble, which is pretty funny. Oh. Yeah. Geth's Verdict. Man, Hunter's never able to cast Geth's Verdict. He has the same number of forests and swamps, but he just never draws those swamps. Yeah, Hunter's going to elect to just hold up Go for the Throat. Which looks like he's going to have a target here. It's going to... Scott presumably going to try to get down this Cryptoplasm. I feel like Hunter's just going to snap off the Go for the Throat. That will enable Scott to use the Bauble. Hunter draws Glissa, who I believe is green, green, black. Yeah, so he could cast Glissa. He cannot cast Verdict or Massacre Worm, so he may just cast SoM here. I think I like SoM for a swap. Scott should not bauble yet, because if he waits, he can Thought Cast. He needs a bauble and play to Thought Cast. There he draws a Chromatic Sphere. So yeah, just boarded in these cantrips. I bet he likely boarded in Trinket Mage, so you'll get them. Certainly better than dead cards. Oh, he's going to be more aggressive. He's going to play Tezzeret. We're going to see a 5/5 Conjurer's Bauble, because that'd be sweet. That's actually going to end really badly for him if he does that. He's going to get it for 5 this turn. With a Meridian Shaman is going to do work. I know he's probably going to leave it back. Because just like attacking it in the chump block, yeah. Now he is attacking. Dang. Well, now he knows Tezzeret's going to die. It's actually, this 5 damage worth a card here. I guess probably not. It's the most aggressive bauble I've ever seen though. Tezzeret down. Wilson the Trader. And now he's got a Meridian Shaman the bauble. Probably. I guess he doesn't have to. So the First Strike Death Touch combo just likes this anyway. Scott also notably cannot cast Beacon of Unrest because he does not have double black. People not having double black has been a real problem. This is a very powerful card. I'm surprised it didn't. Yeah, I guess it just like didn't line up well with the format at the time. Also, like it was released in the Cobblade sets, so that was part of it. Zombie Elf. Alright, so Chromatic Sphere. think this is just going to be a Thought Cast for 3 mana. It has Mox Opal and Devour in Shadow. That I think is going to come in handy, actually. So that's a way to deal with Glissa. And you can just Mox Opal it now. So Glissa's going to die. And Scott's going to take 3, but Hunter is going to take 5. We go to 10. Here comes that Conjurer's Bauble. Dealt 10 damage this game. Wham. Beacon of Unrest can target your opponent's graveyard too. So he could actually Glissa. Could get Glissa. So he just has a Cryptoplasm. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up beaconing Glissa. Or he could cast a 4/4 Darksteel Juggernaut, which is not bad either. So Hunter can, he's going to attack for 2. I assume he has to kill this Bauble. So he could use Viridian Shaman or Geth's Verdict. I guess he's going to use Geth's Verdict. So he casts, he left up regen mana. That's fine. Fault of Whispers is relevant because it's an artifact, so this is going to make Darksteel a 5/5. Also gives him double black, just with lands. Could matter. This has definitely been the most interesting game so far. The players actually keeping 7, playing their spells. You thought we were going to see Thrun plus a Geth's Verdict. It's important for Scott to, or for Hunter to kill the Bauble while it's tapped. Otherwise, Scott's going to get a draw off of it. Alright, so here's the Juggernaut. It's a 5/5. Yeah, so obviously no attacks here, so we're going to go to Hunter's turn. And he drew Emissary of Despair. That is potentially a quick clock here. Alright, so I think Viridian Shaman is going to target the Conjurer's Bauble. And then Geth's Verdict is going to take out the Darksteel. Right, so he's going to put Tezzeret back into his deck, draw a Ratchet Bomb. And now Geth's Verdict, take down Darksteel Juggernaut. So Scott's going to lose 1 life for the Geth's Verdict and then 6 from the attacks. It's going to drop him down to 8. And Hunter appears to be ahead in this game. Scott debating whether to sack Chromatic Sphere now. He's not going to. Causes Citadel. That makes him able to sack the sphere, which he's probably going to have to do. Alright, Beacon of Unrest incoming. He's got to pay 2 black for that. There we go. Alright, so he's going to beacon back the Darksteel. He's just going to cast Ratchet Bomb. I don't think that's going to get him there. It's like this creature has to attack. So he plays the Ratchet Bomb. It's going to take a while to get where it needs to get. Ratchet Bomb, no. 1 counter. Yeah. That's a big guy, 6'6". I tell you, this Emissary of Despair is now 1 turn clock. I think Hunter has the upper hand here, and he draws. Bleak Heaven Vampires that's a 5-mana 4/3, but he doesn't really need it either. That Ratchet Bomb is going to be too slow. Scott should crack the sphere. True Blue Sun Zenith. He needs the other one. He needs the Black Sun Zenith. He like cast it for 2 or something. I think he should just crack the sphere. Like type your Citadel. Or your box up, believe him. Just like crack the sphere to draw again. He needs another card. Alright. I drew land. I guess he got a Blue Sun for 7 mount now. Alright, so he's got access to 8 mana. So he's going to have to use 2 to get triple blue. And then of the 6 mana, he has to decide how many to put towards cards. Obviously, if he just draws 6, he can't do anything. If he draws just 1, or 2, that's what he's looking for. Maybe draw 3. You can cast most of your removal. You can even Black Sun for 1 to kill Emissary. I think I would cast it for 3. It's clearly a tough decision here. Yeah, it's been a close match. Bauble dealt 10 damage, but Scott hasn't really been able to mount much offense since then. And he agrees with me, so he's casting it for 3. And he can cast a Metamorph. Does it do anything? He can Metamorph the Emissary just to block it. That might be his best bet here. But now he's just going to die to the Alpha Strike then. Yeah, because this has to attack. So go to 6, make a 1 blocker attack. Yeah, he's still taking 8. So I think this game is over. Close match though. Definitely interesting. He's going to cast a Metamorph. It's going to cost him 2 life. Yeah, Scott trying to solve this puzzle. He drew a card. That may mean that he's conceded. Oh, he drew 2 cards. Yeah, I think he's probably conceded in the video call. He was just trying to see what else he could have done. So I think we're done here. Yep. Thunderfell has conceded the game. Hunter wins a closely contested match. 2 games, 2-1. Looks like we're going to try to get a call together. I'm going to turn myself down momentarily.
Hey.
Okay. Hello.
Hey, what's up?
Not much. That was a pretty interesting match. Hopefully we'll get the players to...
Yeah. I think I pretty much just saw
Hey.
part of game 2.
Okay. Those are pretty close games. I thought it was pretty good from a viewer perspective.
I thought so.
I was wondering though, in game 2, I was wondering why Scott didn't, like when he got his 4th land, he didn't play, what do you call that? Tezzeret to make his Mem Knight a 5/5 and start like putting a lot more pressure.
I thought about it, but I think I had Food Star in my hand, so I wanted to try and just get artifacts down.
Yeah, I had a different play there. So I thought you were going to Cryptoplasm your Memnite to give you Metalcraft
Yeah,
your Box
Memnite.
Opal.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, that's
drew
what
the
I was
land.
thinking too.
I drew a land, which made it okay. But I went in and I drew. I missed my upkeep, and I was like, oh well. They didn't let me swing in for 2 anyways, and I still was able to play them. So,
Yeah.
but that's what I meant to do, and then I forgot.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was thinking that time, since Hunter didn't have any green, he was kind of stuck with his he couldn't play any of his artifact destruction. So making your Memnite a 5/5 and start putting a lot more pressure in once your Cryptoplasm becomes a 5/5 too, kind of
Yeah.
makes the game faster.
There was also, I think there might have been a line in the end of game 2 where, so I thought Hunter messed up first, where, because like you knew about the Metamorph, right?
Yeah, I wasn't thinking of it actively.
Yeah, because then like
So
I think if Scott had copied the Precursor Golem with the Metamorph, he could have -4 Tezzeret for lethal, if I was counting right. Like it was close, but I think he had exactly enough.
oh, okay.
I didn't think
I
about
didn't even
that.
see that.
What happened in game 1 with the imprinting the Thoughtcast?
I was wondering that.
And then
I
casting
really
no
didn't
spells.
want to because I wanted the cards, but I also needed the mana.
You didn't need it that turn, though. You
That's
didn't
what
do
I was
anything with
saying,
it.
yeah. But you still couldn't cast Juggernaut.
Yeah, I had. Why did I do that?
It's like
I
that
don't.
looked awkward from my perspective.
Yeah, it felt awkward doing it, but there was some reason why I reasoned myself into being able to do it, and I don't remember off the top of my head.
Like if it enabled you to cast something, it seemed fine, but like you could have just waited, and then like you drew the Citadel the next turn, so you could have actually just cast it anyway.
Yeah.
Or cast the Thoughtcast for cheaper. But there was an interesting turn in game 3 where Hunter had 6 mana and a lot of options, and like you could have like tried to clear out the. This was like I think the Bauble was dead, and it was just the Juggernaut left. And like you played Thrun with the regen mana up. I was just curious if you thought about like playing Guess Verdict or doing anything different that turn. Just because it seemed like you had a lot of options.
Yeah, I was thinking. Let's see. I don't know if Juggernaut was there at that point, but I was trying to figure out if I wanted to like.
Maybe it was
Viridian
just the
Shaman.
Bauble. There was
I think
definitely
it was
only one creature.
Yeah, it was just the bubble. So
That's
like
right.
I could play the Viridian Shaman and kill it, or play the Guess Verdict and kill it. But playing Thrun just got more power on the field and let me potentially use the Shaman on something better. And same with the Verdict. Verdict and Dismember are my only 2 outs to Juggernaut.
Okay.
So I didn't see any downside of just killing it next turn and then attacking for 4.
Okay. And last question. I think it didn't matter. But did you think about Scott? Did you think about beaconing Glissa instead of the Juggernaut at the end?
I did.
I'm not, like I said, I don't think you would have won either way. I'm not even sure if Glissa was better. It was just something I noticed you could have done.
Yeah, I thought about it, and I decided Juggernaut would be a little bit better. It gives me the artifacts in it, more power, but
I boarded out Fleet Coven Vampires for game 2 because it didn't seem amazing. But then realized that I needed more than one 5-drop in the deck for pod.
Oh.
That's kind of awkward.
Yeah. That card seems a little like high variance, I guess. Like it's either really good or it's a 5-mana 4/3.
Right.
Zombie
I mean,
Goliath.
when it's good, it's not incredible either. So
yeah.
But my other option is Clone Shell, which is not even good. So
yeah. Okay. That's basically those are my notes. Games are interesting. Like you both couldn't draw lands, or you both like couldn't draw spells the first game, so it was actually pretty interesting. Like your draws are equally terrible for a while.
yeah, I drew 4 forests in a row to start off game 1.
Yeah. You drew 7 forests and 0 swamps, so you got one with Mirrodin Emissary. but
Yeah.
even though there's 8 of each.
My highlights were definitely having 3 Massacre Worms on the field
Yeah.
and beating him down with a Conjurer's Bauble. Those were my 2 highlights.
Yeah, the Massacre Worm thing was pretty sweet at the end of the second game.
Yes.
I wasn't sure how you were, like, it seemed like there might be a way to navigate through all that, but I wasn't sure exactly what it was, and then what you did worked out, so. Yeah, I've played Conjurer's Bauble in my modern ad nauseum deck, but I've never attacked with it, so that was pretty cool.
All I could imagine was like a bludger from Harry Potter just beating Hunter in the face.
Alrighty, well, I guess that's it. Thanks everybody for watching.
Oh yeah. By the way,
Oh.
I changed on the Google Docs. Michael is actually 2-3 game wins and losses, not 2-2.
Did I math wrong?
Yeah, because
Thanks.
he lost to me twice and then he lost to Crispy once.
Thanks.
Yeah. But
I
think that's...
Yeah, let's just like check that again. I try to update it in the middle so people could like watch as it changes, but okay. Seems good. Okay. Yeah, well, I'll fix that and we'll be